did bring up really early on in some of the earlier work that we did on this when I didn't have a whole lot of information and I was just thinking outside of the box. And there was a spot that I really believed, because I was just learning about this overstimulation, that something happened inside that house that made someone snap. Now, we know that there were some things going on inside of that home that were very difficult and required the Department of Children and Family Services to go to the home. We all know that. That wasn't something that we just dumb luck fell upon. It was actually based upon the stepfather's, an interview the stepfather had, predominantly with Smiley's World, where that kind of took shape, where we finally learned that, yes, there is some problems going on inside that house. Now, a lot of those problems appear to be headed by the stepfather. Now, it was the stepfather that wanted this child out of the house. It was the stepfather that we learned through his own words that didn't want Sebastian around his daughter, thought he was a perv, said that out of his own mouth. There was just a lot of stuff where it was the stepfather pushing the issue of him going and staying with his father. His father is the one that approached, his stepfather is the one that approached his father to take Sebastian full time. And it seemed like it was co-signed by the mom. Well, at some point, the mom didn't want that to happen anymore. It sounded like there was it sounded like Sebastian didn't really want to go to the online school. And his father just thought it would be good for him to go to the online school until he adjusted in the new house, in the new environment, just in case it probably, they have to worry about meltdowns and the mental, mental health of the autistic child too. And I really do think that Seth was, worried about his son and the adjustment his son was going to have to make from their house to his house. But at some point, it sounded like everybody was kind of hesitant on it. Seth obviously wanted his son full time. He's always wanted his son full time. He loves his son. When his son was born, he was the one that was the primary caregiver for his son, while Katie had to go to the Navy and do all the Navy stuff. So fast forwarding through all of these details about whether or not Sebastian was home, whether or not he walked out of the home, whether or not something happened inside that home, is still up for interpretation and still up for facts, because law enforcement hasn't really done anything publicly on this case since April, except shame everybody else for having an opinion. And then we had the FBI $50,000 reward. Shortly after the FBI raised the $50,000 reward, we learned about Dog the Bounty Hunter and Nick the Hat kind of coming into this case and utilizing the resources that they have at their disposal to help locate Sebastian. And as a matter of fact, immediately raised that reward to $100,000. So when they first came in, there was all this chaos because of the hate channels now getting involved, which was solicited by the mom and the stepfather and their side of the family to cause all these problems. And let's face it, that's what they did. They went to the crappiest channels imaginable, the ones that don't mind breaking the law. They went to places like QB. They went to places like Chlamydia. They went to places like SF. These are all unscrupulous people that do unscrupulous things and do not mind violating their state laws, other state laws, or federal laws. Let's be honest. We've watched them for years. And we've watched them break the law consistently for years. So it is a problem, and the whole world is watching this family go to these unscrupulous channels that aren't true crime channels. They're hate channels, okay? They're deemed hate channels. So why are parents of a missing child going to hate channels to talk about their son's case versus real true crime channels? That's the first question you need to ask, And then we bring in, obviously Dog the Bounty Hunter and Seth had kind of a powwow, because they didn't know, and a lot of people don't realize this, that Dog did not believe anybody in this case. Dog gave, it was a Spanish Inquisition. It was like an interrogation of Tony as well as Seth. He didn't know who to believe, okay? He came in kicking in the front door, so to speak. And Seth was willing to go through all of that to speak with Dog to find, so Dog can help look for his son. Dog did not think, because he was told by other parties, and we're not going to talk about my ex on this platform, very horrible individual, somebody that has caused much damage in this case, was in Dog and Nick's ear, saying basically it was Seth. To look at Seth, right? And then when they started doing their investigation and they were provided a lot of documentation, they learned very quickly Seth had nothing to do with this and started moving forward. As a matter of fact, they started feeling really bad, like many of us that go into this case and look at the true facts of this case and what has been uncovered factually. Whether or not law enforcement acknowledges it or not, it's still been uncovered factually while they stick their head in the sand. Well, because of these hate channels, because of the nonstop lying of the mom and the stepdad is predominantly about the level of harassment that they're getting, which is next to nothing because they've hired the people to harass others. It has been very difficult to get dog in the community because of what happened to me, right? You know, just because I speak into a camera, I talk to my audience, and some speck of a county doesn't like my commentary, my freedom of speech. They decide to work around the clock to try to shut me up. That did not work. It only cost a lot of people a whole shitload, a ton of money, and it has not worked. And they cannot, because I have rights in this country to speak freely. I have freedom of this press, and I have freedom to properly assemble a gathering of people. All these things are constitutionally protected that this county has tried to put their hands on and stop. Well, it's worried, Nick, because those same actions that were utilized on me started being utilized on him, and that's when they started seeing this, you know, what they saw. But Dog's team has been in the area, but Dog himself has not, from my understanding. Now, I could be wrong. He could have went in there stealth, and I would never be the wiser, right? So I happened to be looking, you know, I wanted an update on what happened yesterday. You know, we had this attempt to identify some people going to these people's houses yet again, trying to intimidate them or cause them problems yet again. These things that these hate channels swear up and down are not happening, but it just seems to always happen in cases that they are acting ugly in. Right? I mean, it just seems awfully funny that the cases that they're involved in and that they don't like people in, these things keep happening to the people that they don't like, but somehow it never happens to them. You know, I find that awfully bizarre that these type of things aren't happening to these people, but they keep happening to the people that are actually working on the case, not trying to distract from the case. I just find that funny. And it always seems to happen to somebody, some type of plaintiff in a lawsuit against some of these hate channels. I find that awfully odd. But one of the things that kind of sparked my curiosity when I was trying to find some information about these people to attempt to locate whether they have been located. And it sounds like potentially they may be under investigation. They may have been identified. I don't know the right word for that. But while I was looking for that, I saw something and it caught my eye, and I'm like, is Dog in Tennessee? I don't know. That looks like a home recording as somebody's passing the Tennessee sign, and it says beware of dog. Beware of the dog. I don't know. Guys, I think we are breaking that Dog the Bounty Hunter is in Tennessee finally to do his investigation, that he finally feels confident and secure enough to be in Tennessee to finally do what he's been wanting to do months ago. So all these distractors that worked around the clock to prevent this from happening, it looks like Dog is there. And I just want to give him a shout out. God bless you, Dog. Thank you for going out there and making this boy top of mind. This is huge to bringing awareness to his case, and not only bringing awareness to this case, but Dog the Bounty Hunter being in Tennessee, that means stuff's going to get done. People will open up to Dog. Dog has a way of making people speak. You know, people want to speak. I tell you guys all the time, when you come into town and you have some type of name recognition and people know that you're willing to help, they come out of the woodworks. They tell you everything that they know that they will not talk to cops about. I'm telling you, I've experienced it myself. Did I burn it? Did I leave my vape somewhere? I probably did. Dad, burn it. That's okay. We'll get through this. How would you know? RULE. Who are you talking to? Thank you so much for helping Seth in this horrible situation. Absolutely. I don't know who you're referring to, VA. I just don't understand why Seth is so set saying it was a trash truck when you can clearly see because that's what law enforcement told him. And it sounds like they took the portion of when the trash truck truly did come in and tried to if he saw it, but I think they must have just told him it was a trash truck, don't listen to it. And that's what he has believed. But that was prior to Miss Bobby coming out. It was shortly, from my understanding, the way it all went, is that was before Miss Bobby came out. When Miss Bobby came out, she cleared up a lot of stuff when it came to that video. And actually, we were looking at those lights and couldn't figure out where those lights come from. You could clearly see lights turned on, but at night, even you're looking at the video, you're not paying. What was that? It wasn't until she said a car that I went back to the lights video and started looking for the car. And when I saw the lights come on, I'm looking at where it is, and sure enough, you can see the halo of the back of the car. And so I just had to tilt the photo to make the car look straight, because on the photo it looked like it's going up to the sky, because it's the way of the angle of the video camera that's recording this stuff going on. And it was all recorded from the same property. So that was told. So all we had was just the dots, the lights. We didn't see the car in that video. That was the Nick Barris video cut that off. It cut it off when the people went out of the frame. So Nick Barris didn't show that at first, or it was condensed, something like that. I can't remember how that all came about. And then when we saw the the video when it was backed out, not zoomed in, you could see the car. But you didn't really know what it was. It just, because the way the car was angled in the way the camera was, it was going up, so you couldn't really tell what it was. That the lights were, you just knew the lights were coming on. You couldn't tell if it was floodlights from another house. You just saw this ray of light that just came on. So once we adjusted the shot and just modified, straightened the image up, that's when you could clearly see the outline of a vehicle. So. I think it was just them telling him it was a trash truck, and I think they were trying to tell. But see, the problem is they don't mind allowing media to lie. So they'll say, "We'll just say it's a trash truck," and media will say, "Oh, well, law enforcement says it's a trash truck." But then when you're in front of them, belly to belly, and you ask them, "Where's the sources of the light?" That's when law enforcement could say it's a trash truck. But if you notice, that's not what Eric Craddock said when he was in the hot seat, because Nick Barris sat him down and got to ask him some questions before the last press conference. And during that, he talked about the lights, and he would not tell him what the lights were. That is a good indicator right then and there that those lights are not a trash truck. Because if they were a trash truck, Eric Craddock could say, "Look, everybody's taking this video out of context. It is a trash truck." And he would not say that. When he was on camera, and that was his opportunity to tell the whole world that these lights were trash trucks, he refused to say that. As a matter of fact, what Eric Craddock ended up saying was that these, they have no idea what the light sources were, or something to that effect, but they're of no evidentiary value at this point. And I remember Nick, now this is not verbatim, this is kind of paraphrasing. You can go back and do your own research and watch it for yourself and get what you make out of it. But then I think Nick wrote back and said, could it be? Or something like that. And it implied that this is definitely going to be a piece of evidence in the future. But the way it sits right now, it has no evidentiary value. Now, that was the opportunity right then and there for Eric Craddock to clear this up for the entire world. So why didn't he? Because he would be lying to the public, and that could be used later down the road in the court hearing. Now,